Picture a brilliant graduate who memorized every textbook up to a certain year, then got locked in a room with no internet. Ask about last week or about your company's private files, and they simply cannot know. Worse, when they don't know, they often answer with total confidence anyway. That is a language model in a nutshell. RAG hands that same graduate an open book. Before it answers, we fetch the relevant documents and drop them right into the prompt, so the reply is grounded in real sources instead of frozen memory. Let's break it down. Look, the whole pipeline splits into two phases, one that happens offline and one that runs the moment a question arrives. Follow the path one block at a time. Start with the offline work. We take your documents, split them into small chunks, and turn each chunk into a vector using an embedding model. Those vectors go into a vector database, ready to be searched. This indexing happens once, long before any user shows up. Now a question arrives. We run that same embedding model on the user's query, turning it into a vector in exactly the same space as your chunks. This is what lets us compare a question against your documents by meaning, rather than by matching literal words. Here comes the heart of it. We search the vector database for the chunks whose vectors sit closest to the question, and pull back the handful that are most relevant. Get this step right and everything downstream works. Get it wrong and nothing else can save you. Finally, we stuff those retrieved chunks into the prompt, right alongside the original question, and ask the model to answer using them. The reply now stands on real, fetched evidence, and you can even cite exactly which sources it came from. So why does this matter so much? Put a plain model next to a RAG one side by side. A bare language model runs entirely on frozen memory. Its knowledge stops at training time. It has never seen your private data, and when a question falls outside what it learned, it tends to invent an answer that sounds authoritative and is quietly wrong. That is the hallucination problem in a nutshell. RAG changes the game by fetching real documents first and answering from them. The knowledge is whatever you indexed, so it can be current and private, and every claim can point back to a source. When the right passage is retrieved, the model reads instead of guesses, and confident fabrication drops sharply. Strip it all away and three ideas make this pattern dominant. It fetches relevant documents and places them into the prompt before the model answers. The model no longer relies on memory alone. It reads from an open book you control, assembled fresh for each and every question. It grounds every response in citable sources, which sharply cuts hallucination. Because the answer is built from passages you actually retrieved, you can show where each fact came from and trust it far more than an unsourced guess. It updates knowledge without any retraining at all. Learn something new, or change a policy, and you simply reindex the documents. The very next query sees the update, no expensive fine-tuning, and the same trick works with almost any base model. Alright, let's lock in what matters. RAG gives a language model an open book, fetching relevant documents and feeding them into the prompt so answers rest on real sources instead of memory. It runs in two phases. An offline pass that chunks, embeds, and stores your documents, and an online pass that retrieves the closest chunks for each question. Its quality lives or dies on retrieval. When the right chunk is never pulled back, the model cannot use it, which is why chunking, embeddings, and re-ranking all matter. The trade-offs are extra latency and moving parts, and wrong context can still mislead it. If untangling how modern AI actually works sounds like your kind of thing, we do a whole lot more of it over at standarity.com. Come take a look.